Moses Kuria is a man under siege. And I'm now convinced more than ever that Moses Kuria has been set up by none other than William Samoei Ruto. I listened to a debate in Parliament today, and I have carefully selected speeches by three people: Kimani Ichung'wah, Didmas Baraza, and Millie Odhiambo. I want you to pay very close attention to those speeches and then let me know whether Moses Kuria is going to survive as the Minister for Trade for 5 years. Listen in.
Our people are hungry, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, science and innovation comes to help us get solutions to problems. And we are a country that year in, year out, every so many years, we are faced with a drought and famine. Honorable Speaker, if we find that certain innovations and science is the solution to some of these problems, Honorable Speaker, we should be bold enough to adopt these changes, Honorable Speaker, and allow our people to enjoy sustainable food security. Honorable Speaker, I did allude to when I was responding to the statement that had been sought by the Honorable Kosing, that indeed it is true that we are likely to have a better harvest this year from the statistics that we are seeing than what was there last year, Honorable Speaker. But that doesn't mean there will be no shortage of maize. As I indicated, we are the ministry is projecting close to about 30 million bags against a demand of 40 million bags. It is also true that a number of our farmers are holding maize, expecting that they will be able, Honorable Speaker, to fetch a better price after holding the maize. And that's why I was speaking to our farmers to please desist from the temptation of holding maize in the expectation that prices will go up. If anything, if you hold maize and there is a shortage, you allow now that window for importation of maize that will flood the market and the prices will come down. Therefore, let me also appeal to all of us as leaders to speak to our farmers, especially those in the North Rift, those in the South Rift, and other areas where we are growing maize, Honorable Speaker, that we be able to appeal to our farmers to stop holding maize, release the maize to the market, and allow the prices of even unga to come down, Honorable Speaker.
2 more minutes, Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I was saying if we could appeal to our farmers so that we are able also to help mitigate on the cost of living, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, farmers must also be aware that with the release of subsidized fertilizer this year, Honorable Speaker, their cost of production is likely to come down this year, Honorable Speaker. And I can see in many parts of the country, rains are now with us, and we pray to the Almighty God that the rains will persist and we'll be able to have even a better harvest next year, and with lower input cost with subsidized fertilizer in play. Honorable Speaker, allow me also to speak to the issue that was raised by the Cabinet Secretary in charge of trade, Honorable Speaker. There are certain sentiments that I would be hesitant to comment to in regard to what the Cabinet Secretary said. But the Cabinet Secretary is a man, is a businessman. He is in charge of a ministry that deals with trade matters. But there is also a Cabinet Secretary who is in charge of agriculture. And Honorable Speaker, I want to encourage the Committee on Agriculture to be able to engage with the Minister in charge of agriculture on the questions of how much maize is there, the shortage that is likely to be there, and whether or not we need to import maize. I think that matter would be better addressed by the Cabinet Secretary in charge of agriculture, as much as I am hesitant, Honorable Speaker, to comment to the other issues that might have been unfortunate from the Cabinet Secretary. But I also appreciate the fact that the Cabinet Secretary, who was quoted in the media, and that's why I'm avoiding to speak to it, did also speak and apologize to some of the issues he had said. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, allow me again once more to beg our farmers, please let us not hold any maize. Let us release this maize to the market and enjoy the prevailing prices that are indeed very good. Prices of between 5,300 to 5,500 a bag are very good for farmers. Continue holding, you are likely to fetch less than what is in the market today. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
We have added the Majority Leader and the Minority Leader 2 minutes each.
With this opportunity, I will first begin by saying that I first take instructions from the people of Kimilili constituency and that I will never use the platform of Parliament to say things that will make them cry. But I will use this platform to say things that will breed hope in them. We have had discussions, Madam Speaker, that we have people in this country who are dying of hunger. They are dying of hunger not because there is no food in this country. They are dying of hunger because they do not have money to buy food so that they can eat, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we campaigned on the platform of guaranteed minimum returns. The issue to protect our local farmers, our local industries, we've been saying, buy Kenya, build Kenya. Madam Speaker, I can testify before any group of people, before any committee, that indeed we have enough maize in North Rift, we have enough maize in Bungoma. Personally, Madam Speaker, I have 2,500 bags of maize in my store. The only available market for this maize are boarding schools. The only available market for this maize are middlemen who come to buy in korokoros in small scale, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, traditionally farmers have sold their maize to National Cereals and Produce Board. This government entity as we speak today is closed. When somebody stands and say that farmers are holding maize, Madam Speaker, I feel like I should cry. I feel like we are people who are completely detached with the reality. And when I stand here, Madam Speaker, there is one thing that I will never do. I appreciate the efforts of government of Kenya, led by our President William Ruto, to improve the life of every single citizen in this country. And I will always assist him by not being a chester in the royal crowd. I will always say we are naked as a government. I will never mislead the government by saying we are not naked when we are naked, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, 10 years ago, the sugarcane industry was doing very well in this country until the discussion began that we don't have enough sugar in this country. We have to import some sugar from some countries. That is what made the sugarcane industry begin to limp. As we speak now, is no more. I want to ask most of our friends who are not coming from maize growing zones that yesterday it was sugarcane, today it's maize, tomorrow it could be milk, the other day it could be tea, Madam Speaker. Even when we reach a time when we have no maize in this country, we don't have to import GMO. We can import maize from Uganda. We can import maize from Tanzania. We can import maize from parts of the African countries that grow good maize, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to challenge the Honorable Moses Kuria. I felt like I should not respond to him, but because I was not sure whether, when he made that statement, whether he was coming from a bar or a church. So that's why I will decide to engage him, and that was a very reckless statement. It's a statement that doesn't inspire hope in our people, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to tell this country that even during the time of Jesus, the very many people who led to the spread of the gospel were not very many, they were very few. The majority were persecuting those who are found with the Bible. And I want to assure Kenyans that I will continue to advocate for no importation of maize until we have mopped up enough maize in this country. Before we go to that, Madam Speaker, we should revive the National Strategic Reserve and ensure that it have got enough maize there, Madam Speaker. I know time is not on my side, but I support this motion by a Member of Parliament for Mosop, by Honorable Kirwa. We need more than 10 kilos. This country will change.
Indicate that the government needs to listen to the members of parliament, because members of parliament deal directly with the communities. And if you listen to a house where both sides of the house are almost speaking with one voice, then you need to know that there's a problem. And if the people who are coming from maize growing areas are telling us that there is enough maize, why are we importing? Unless our main intention is to kill our farmers. So I would want to urge the government to listen to that. I also want to add my voice to the issue of GMOs. Madam Speaker, one of the members, when they were speaking earlier, was saying that most of us are speaking out of conjecture. Madam Speaker, I'm glad this House has people who are very well educated. My master's I did on intellectual property rights on plant genetic resources. And I can tell you one of the main things I dealt with was GMOs. And I can tell you that even in the United States, where Bill Gates is coming from, this is a very contentious issue. And if it is so good, then he needs to go and sell the GMOs in his own country. We cannot be used as guinea pigs for things that we don't know yet, and the impact as this country, we are already dealing with a high impact of cases of cancer. We don't know if these GMOs are going to cause cancer, or if actually they are the ones contributing to cancer, because somehow people still find a way of bringing them in. So, Madam Speaker, let us not use our children and our people as guinea pigs. We are not saying we should completely outlaw, but let us test, let us research, and once it is proven, I want to even thank Dr. Nyikal, that from a health perspective, where you are not sure, where research is giving divergent views, avoid. And I think it's Honorable Beatrice that talked about we have just dealt with COVID. We don't know where COVID came from. For all we know, COVID could have been generated from GMOs. If you actually, because we don't have time, if I actually was able to read for you even how this GMO is generated, I don't even understand how we can even be sitting here thinking about it. And Madam Speaker, there's also one thing that people have talked about here, which I want to stress, that we want to kill our farmers. In India, when these issues came, farmers were lighting themselves and dying because their livelihoods were being threatened. Why? Because of intellectual property rights. Once these seeds are produced, you cannot regrow the seeds. You must buy the seeds all the time in order to plant. What does that mean? That all our farmers will be buying seeds from the US all the time, from other countries all the time. Does that poor farmer in Rusiga or in Mfangano Island have the money to be rebuying seeds? What I know is our grandparents and our great-grandparents kept seed on the roofs for indigenous plants. And what they do is every planting season, you use it and reuse it. Another thing the other problem that we have with GMOs is they are not resilient to the diseases and the weather in our countries. And sometimes they may yield good produce, but if unfortunately they get one attack, because of their homogeneity, the entire populace of crops is destroyed. So let us not, it is proven, it is things which we have learned, which we have looked at. It's not things conjecture. And it is not about politics. When Honorable Sally Kosgei was the minister, and I was here in the 10th Parliament, and she was bringing a bill on that, and I was actually dissuading members from outside there, and she got very upset with me, because we were on the same side. Not because I was playing politics, because I am not playing, but I was talking facts from what I've learned in school. So I'd want to encourage us, as a country, let us think of our people. Let us not kill our people, because the lure of money is very attractive for